Let's jump to this next story because again, I think this all really comes together in interesting ways. From Post Millennial, Biden to cancel up to $10,000 in student loan debt, extend payment pause until December. And there's also going to be a $20,000 forgiveness, which I believe is additional if you received a Pell Grant. They say, in addition, Pell Grant recipients will see up to $20,000 of their debt canceled. I read somewhere that it was actually in addition to, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think it's 10 on top of 10 is what I learned.
Is that what it was?
I think so. That's what I was
someone wrote it was 20 on top of 10, and they may have been mistaken. It was like a mainstream publication or something. But anyway, this ain't it. They're not actually solving the problem of student loan debt. The predatory loan system will still exist. All he's basically doing is giving a tiny bribe to people to vote for him. But I think the bigger issue here that I'm interested to hear your thoughts on, James, is universities, these schools, they are subsidized indoctrination machines. And now people are getting a freebie. So it's like they're continually subsidizing in more and more ways. They want it to be free.
Yeah.
Well, of course they want it to be free. I mean, anybody who's sharing a cult religion wants you to come and experience it. And if it costs money to support, they want someone else to pay for it so they can keep funneling people in without hindering themselves, right?
Yeah.
So I'm curious what you think about all this.
No, I mean, so this is, I mean, there's a whole thing we could get into if you want to about how universities back themselves or painted themselves into this financial corner they're in. But with the students, let me just take one step back and we'll come back into focus because it's going to hit both of the things we were just talking about or all of the things we've been talking about. The agenda behind much of leftist activism, if you read Marcuse says in another essay, it's called The Essay on Liberation of 1969, the first chapter of that, it's an essay, but it's like 170 pages long. So it's, back in the day, kids, we wrote real essays. They weren't 500 words. Sorry, op-eds. No, it's 170 pages. The first chapter of his essay on liberation is A Biological Foundation for Socialism. And what he explains is that if you want to get socialism, you have to change the level of people's vital needs. You have to change people in terms of what they need. Now, he has a footnote that says, I don't literally mean biology. So he's not literally advocating for eugenics. And every time he uses the word biological, it has quotes around it. So he means something different by it. And what I finally figured out was what he means by it is that you don't know how to live life without getting your way. In other words, psychopathology. Literally the definition of psychopathology. It interferes with your ability to engage in daily life. So every bit of leftist activism that's followed off of Marcuse, which is basically all of this radical left since the 1960s, has at the bottom the goal to create the activists who are going to not be able to figure out how to live their life without getting the policy change that they demand. So in this case, you give all these kids crazy amounts of student debt, and what do? They become agitators for student loan forgiveness and eventually free college because they want to have the free indoctrination program. And so hand in glove, the colleges become the indoctrination centers, or actually the programming centers. They're more like Maoist thought reform prisons than they are like indoctrination. So you turn it into a thought reform prison and you get kids to demand that it be free because you put them in financial dire straits.